Hello, everyone. I'm back again with a motivational video. So, this kind of comes in timing that is not coincidental. There's been a lot going on in YouTube, and probably in the world, but really, yes, it is kind of precipitated by recent events on YouTube. And it's about a question that people will often ask, which is, why is it that the least upright or the scammiest people, however you want to say it, some people even say that bad people, let's say that, why do bad people always come out on top and they always get what they want? First of all, that's not true because you don't know a person's entire story. Like, you only see the part that people tend to focus on, the part that gets the attention, the part that gets the hype. That's true of anyone's life. But second, and the primary focus of this video is a huge key difference between people who like to get over on people, people who come up with like these crazy schemes, um, is people who trick people, people who deceive people, like not even necessarily like talking about what's been going on lately, but general statement. Anyone who profits off deceiving people, those people believe in themselves. Now, that might sound crazy. I'm not encouraging anyone to become a scammer. Please don't become a scammer. I say in my videos all the time, don't be a jerk. It's important to not be a jerk. But there is a lesson that can be learned from these cases where we see people who are like, oh, I never would have thought, and oh, well, I can't believe, and this and that. And then the person is like running off into the night with like the bag thrown over their shoulder or whatever. Um, People who do those things believe in themselves and they believe they'll be successful in what they're trying to do. They believe they'll get it by any means. They don't sit around doubting that they can be successful in their scams and schemes. And again, I'm going to remind you, I'm not encouraging anyone to scam because I do believe that like there's a flip side to that coin, and that their deceit and taking from other people, especially if you're a person who could hardly afford to give, or like maybe you're comfortable, but you know, you had like two loaves of bread instead of one, and you gave the person one, and whatever. So now you don't have extra, like whatever the case may be. Um, whatever these people who scheme oh geez, these people who scheme and scam others do will absolutely come back to them. And I don't have to exact that, you don't have to exact that. That's just the way things work. There are consequences for people's actions, even if we don't see them in the daylight, even if we don't see them immediately, it comes back. Same way there's repayment for good deeds. So the reason I'm focusing on these people and their belief in themselves and their confidence level is because that little snippet of their whole mechanism of how they get over is something we can all learn from. So think about this. If a person who's a complete fraud, or even a partial fraud, like whatever, a person who is like very successful at defrauding people because they're able to conjure up that confidence and really sell whatever they're trying to get over on people with. Um, if they're able to be successful, how do you think that translates to you and me, to people who are well intended, to people who, I believe everyone has talents, but I'm going to say people who are talented and maybe have tapped into their talents, people who mean well, people who see a bigger picture but are maybe struggling to get from point A to B. If we were to embrace that confidence and to believe that we cannot fail, that if we keep trying, we will succeed, someone's going to buy it, someone's going to believe it, someone's going to give us that opportunity, someone's going to sign on the dotted line, someone is going to, walk in agreement with us and help us bring that vision to pass, or we'll be, eventually, if we keep knocking at the door, it will be answered and we'll be able to do whatever it is we've set out to do. Um, if we were to operate with that level of persistence, Because don't get me wrong, being a scammer, like, this probably wasn't the first time, like, the time you hear about probably wasn't the first time they tried to scam anybody. You know, it probably wasn't even their first scheme. They probably did a lot of observing and understanding human behavior, figuring out what to say, what not to say. They didn't just wake up one morning and say, you know what, I'm going to be a scammer. Let me scam these people right quick. It's my first try. Oh man, yeah, $1 million. I'm done. Retired and off in Tahiti. No, that's not how scamming works generally. Not that I know from being a scammer, but just like, if you look into people's stories, like, there have been some very notorious scams. And if you look into like the stories, it doesn't begin at the part where they run off with the money and receive all this notoriety. Um, Point being, if we were to adopt that level of persistence to our own goals and dreams, to believing in ourselves, to really studying and getting it right, whatever we're working on, to aligning ourselves with our purpose, to, if you're in business, figuring out your market, learning your targeted customer so that you can make them an offer they won't refuse. If you are, like, whatever the case may be, I'm not going to go through a million examples, but if we were to adopt that level of confidence and belief and diligence and dedication, do you know how successful we would all be? So I fully support identifying scams, holding people accountable, calling it out. But then I see these people who are like, what does anyone give? And this and that. And, you know, well, you're a fool. And like, instead of focusing on that, why don't we look at what we can learn from this and adopt it to our own lives? Not so that we can become scammers too, but so that we can see how things work. Like, if you sit back and observe some of these cases, you see how just being diligent pays off, how, you know, surrounding yourself in the environment where you want to be successful pays off. You got a lot of scammers who fake it till they make it. A lot of people, you know, you read about these people who are like, they hang out with all these millionaires and then they're able to get loans from these people and crazy stuff like that. Well, they learned how to fit into those environments and they went there and they stayed there until something happened. So bottom line is, don't be a scammer, but do be diligent, do believe in yourself. If you've got a lot of self-doubt in your mind, you got to start overpowering that self-doubt with belief, with forcefully and intentionally telling yourself that none of that matters. You're going to move forward and you're going to make it work and it's going to happen for you anyway. And you too can see the success level of a scammer without the scam, and you can reap the rewards and the police won't come looking for you to take them back. And you won't have people chasing you off of like, I won't even say that. That's going to sound shady, but okay. You get what I'm saying. So that's this video. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care and be well. Bye now.